Last Hope, a woman praying to an icon in a ward for HIV-infected patients, Russia, 1993. The smallest car in the world, the Peel P50, it weighs just 130 pounds, 59 kilos. The last male northern white rhino, guarded by soldiers until his death in Kenya in 2018. The two remaining females live under 24-hour protection but cannot reproduce, marking the tragic end of an entire subspecies. This is a screw gag, which doctors use to place in a patient's mouth during surgery to prevent them from screaming. Sometimes the patient was also hit on the head with a rubber mallet, and the surgery was performed quickly before they regained consciousness. FBI photo montage created in 1945 in case Hitler tried to escape by changing his appearance. Owen Baggett, the pilot who shot down an enemy plane with a pistol by shooting the pilot in the head while ejecting via parachute. Hysteria at the funeral of Ayatollah Khomeini, the leader of the Iranian Islamic Revolution. The crowd of frenzied Shiites tore his shroud, taking pieces of his body as holy relics. In the stampede, the body was dropped and trampled 3 times. Hitler inspects the Schwerer Gustav cannon weighing over 1,350 tons, 1941. Reporter interviewing a penguin, 1966. A German woman sits alone with all her belongings in the war-torn city of Cologne, 1945. Mongolian men selling hunting hawks in Beijing, c. 1900. These birds were used for falconry, not food. An ordinary American bar from 1941 with a sign that says they don't serve beer to Indians. Canadian hockey team, 1922. During Prohibition in the U.S., it was illegal to produce, sell, or transport alcohol. As a result, winemakers resorted to tricks to survive in the new environment. For example, they started selling grape concentrates in bricks, labeling them with warnings. After dissolving the contents in a gallon of water, do not store the liquid in a closed cupboard, as after 20 days, it will turn into wine. Rudolf Höss, architect of Auschwitz, before being hanged near the crematorium. 89-year-old billionaire J. Howard Marshall and model Anna Nicole Smith. She eagerly awaited the reading of his will, but her husband didn't leave her a single cent. Scoliosis treatment device, 1880s, a brutal-looking early orthopedic tool. In 1885, an ancient Maya statue was found in the jungles of Honduras by archaeologists. English women demand the right to serve in the military, citing that Italian women are allowed, 1915. Chinese justice, a man is publicly flogged for breaking the law, 1900, a glimpse into historic public punishment systems. A firefighter looks towards the heavily damaged Belgrade's tallest building, NATO bombing, April 1999. In 1971, civil rights activist Ann Atwater was forced to work with KKK leader Ellis. Later, Ellis renounced the Klan, tore up his card, and dedicated the rest of his life to fighting for equality. Princess Diana in her car shortly before the fatal crash. A Vietnamese family fleeing to Saigon during the Vietnam War, 1972. The jaws of the extinct megalodon shark compared to a modern great white shark. Andrew Card informs U.S. President George Bush of the terrorist attack, interrupting his reading to school children in Sarasota, Florida, September 11, 2001. The Nazis used victims' hair to produce socks, fuse, ropes, and mattresses. Camp commanders had to report monthly on the amount of hair collected. Soldiers participate in a stage photograph to illustrate the harmful effects of ignoring a gas mask during a gas attack. France, 1916. Mixed family smile for a self shot. Looks like one of the two is holding the camera with their little baby. England, 1940s. The basketball team of the Chilocco Indian School. This symbol once represented luck. USA, 1908. Anal plugs for treating headaches and colds. In the 19th century, a doctor might prescribe a set of rubber plugs for your runny nose. Between 1971 and 1989, the Aversion Project was implemented in military hospitals in South Africa, which was aimed at eradicating homosexuality. First of all, it is surprising that priests diagnosed the homosexuals. Andy the Goose was born without feet, but became a celebrity after inventor Gene Fleming made him Nike sneakers. He inspired children with disabilities until he was tragically found killed in a park in 1991. The culprit was never found. A psychiatric hospital patient made a straw man in her bed, 1910. Vibration therapy, 1890s, a curious treatment for headaches of the era. On June 3, 1980, due to a computer malfunction that reported a Soviet nuclear attack, the USA declared a nuclear alert. For 10 minutes, the world was on the brink of nuclear war. Dora Rathen, an athlete from the Olympic team of Germany, was arrested at a railway station on suspicion of being a man disguised in women's clothing, 1938. Racist residents beat and expel black journalist Alex Wilson from their town, Little Rock, Arkansas, 1957. Sanitary dog finds a wounded soldier, World War I, 1916. One of the wealthiest people in the world, Jeff Bezos, at the beginning of his career, 1999. In 1938, London post offices allowed mailing ducks, rabbits, etc. Ended when blood-stained packages started arriving. This 1910 service vehicle was a revolutionary breakthrough for U.S. city infrastructure, replacing simple carts and ladders for maintaining streetlights. Confederate Army Captain Samuel Richardson in fashionable pants, 1860s. An Iraqi POW comforts his 4-year-old son in the yard of a dusty prison in Iraq, 2003. In 1945, the Red Army entered the Łódź ghetto in Poland. They found just over 800 Jewish survivors. The total population had been 204,000. Charging an electric car in 1911. A separate entrance for colored people at a supermarket in Alabama, 1956. One of the last photographs of the mysteriously deceased Dyatlov Group, USSR, 1959. November 11, 1989. West Berliners watch people tearing down a section of the Berlin Wall to open a new border crossing. Members of the New York Fat Man's Club, 1904. A city nurse discusses contraception with rural women, Iran, 1960s. A bra model, fashionable in the 40s and 50s. Dali paints his next masterpiece with a model, The Temptation of St. Anthony, 1946. The Starving Winter of 1944, a tragedy for the Dutch people. Edith Piaf and Prisoners, Germany, 1944. During a performance at a camp, the singer took a photo with 120 prisoners. Upon returning to Paris, she sent the photo to an underground workshop where the prisoners' faces were rephotographed for fake documents. She later returned to the same camp, hiding the documents in a suitcase with a false bottom. She smuggled out some people as musicians, while others escaped later. North Korean girls sing a song about Kim Il-sung, 1950. Telephone lines in New York, USA, 1903. The first border post set up after the U.S. war with Mexico, 1848. Mexicans would often scratch insulting words on it about the occupiers, which led to this symbolic sign being surrounded by an iron fence. After losing 13,000 soldiers in the war with Mexico, the USA gained territory equal in size to all of Central and Western Europe. James Robert Rinrose was on the FBI's most wanted criminals list. When FBI agents arrested him, he told them he had prepared for the arrest, as he had been carrying the essentials for years, and handed them a free jail release card from the board game Monopoly. A strike by African American sanitation workers asserting their dignity. The signs read, "I am a man," USA, 1968. In 1941, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, anti-Japanese hysteria swept the U.S. Here is waitress Ruth Lee, born in America. Fearing she'd be mistaken for Japanese, she sunbathed on the beach alongside a Chinese flag. March on Washington, 1963. During this event, Martin Luther King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. As a result of the march, the U.S. government abolished segregation and granted African Americans equal voting rights as whites. A black boy drinks from a water fountain designated for whites only, USA, 1939. A failed assassination attempt on Hitler occurred in 1944 during a flight from Prussia to Berlin. He was given explosives disguised as cognac, but they did not detonate, and the plane landed safely. People read the news about Kennedy's assassination. New York, 1963. White teenagers protesting racial integration in Montgomery, Alabama, 1963. A 35-year-old peasant in the first half of the 20th century. Presumably the last photograph of Adolf Hitler, taken 2 days before his death. Hitler inspects the ruins of the Reich Chancellery, April 28, 1945. In the Victorian era, hair became an important part of a woman's appearance, reflecting her status and femininity. Women never cut their hair, 19th century. Icelandic men celebrate the abolition of the law prohibiting beer. Iceland, 1989. Victorian baby bottle meant to simplify breastfeeding. Impossible to clean properly, it caused a rise in infant deaths and earned the nickname murder bottle. The last execution by guillotine did not take place in the Middle Ages, as many tend to think, but after the release of the first Star Wars film on September 10, 1977. This unique photo shows a typical post-war Moscow health ritual, children napping outdoors in 10-degree Cs. Folding cots are set up in a snowy yard, and the cocooned children demonstrate Soviet medicine's belief in the miraculous power of cold. USSR, 1958. Enos, America's first astronaut chimpanzee, preparing for his historic launch, 1961. Mass burning of the Parangi, Vale, Andijan, Uzbekistan, 1927. A death toll counter from car accidents in Brooklyn, 1927. German soldiers testing the strength of the gallows before executing suspected Soviet partisans, 1941. John Kennedy just minutes before he was killed, 1963. Zulu King Cetshwayo aboard the ship that brought him to Cape Town after the defeat of the Zulus, 1879. In California in 1929, swimsuits were checked for compliance with decency standards. The man behind the blocks, Alexei Pajitnov, the inventor of the legendary game Tetris. In 2000, the Zimbabwean bank ZB Bank Limited held a lottery for depositors. In an incredible coincidence, the grand prize of $100,000 was won by President Robert Mugabe. Che Guevara with Bolivian soldiers before his execution, Bolivia, 1967. Mrs. Dickerson from New York with a 363-pound Black Sea bass she caught, 1901. Designers Stoner and Kalashnikov pose with each other's weapons, USA, 1990. People pose on a dead whale covered in graffiti, California, 1919. A 120-ton silver nugget, British Columbia, 1892. The armored Mercedes-Benz of the President of Ingushetia after an assassination attempt by the Russians, 2005. The Dyatlov Pass tourist group before their mysterious disappearance, 1959. Police protect a group of black swimmers and desegregation supporters from an angry mob, Florida, 1964. An army jeep in good condition, 1950s. The symbol of the Ku Klux Klan became white suits and masks. Klan members burned crosses and terrorized their victims. In total, over 130,000 black people, Jews, and Asians suffered. The Klan was only definitively disbanded in 1944. Copper ban for Catholic schoolboys to prevent sin. France, 1880s. A doctor tracked the progression of Alzheimer's disease in a patient over 15 years by analyzing the signatures on medical forms. This rare 1917 photo shows one of the most unusual prototypes of individual protection during World War I. This invention belongs to Dr. Guy Brewster, an enthusiast in defense technology who dreamed of creating a light and effective armor for infantrymen, but his dream never came true. From 1871, a ban on homosexuality was in effect in Germany. Even a kiss was punished. 50,000 people were convicted in the Third Reich. The law was not repealed after the war, and people remained in prisons until 1969. Happy New Year, 1907. Before you, the remains of Gustav Vasa, a Swedish king from the 16th century. The king who ruled Sweden nearly 500 years ago lies before us as if on display. Crown, scepter, everything is in place, but only a skeleton remains of the king. A grim but powerful reminder that time spares no one, not even kings. U.S. military malaria medicine advertisement during World War II. Papua New Guinea, 1940s. Malaria, spread by a specific type of mosquito. American paratroopers demonstrate psychological support during a first jump. Sparked a reaction. Whether good or bad, I'd love to read your comments below. Get ready for the next installment very soon. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss out. Catch you later.